All right, joining me today is Jose Perez, who fights Adjoudj at PFL 10 Championships. That fight is on November 29th. So, Jose, I wanted to start here. You know, you're the CFFC champion, one of the biggest regional promotions in America, one of those, big indicators that a guy's heading to the next level. So, give me a little bit of insight. What made you decide, instead of ONE FC or waiting for that UFC chance or something of that nature, what made you decide PFL?
Well, time is a part of that. I'm 29 years old. Um, if I get into the UFC, it's going to take me some time to kind of work through the rankings and make a name for myself and really just prove that I'm good enough. Um, PFL, I feel like it's going to get really hard, really fast, and I think that's best suited for me. I think that hopefully get this guy out of there next year. They put me in the tournament, and we'll see really quickly. My the level will go up real fast, and we'll see exactly how good I am really quickly. And that's what I'm trying to do.
I love that. I love that. And also, I wanted to ask too, because you were like this close to being in the tournament this year, right? Like they had you booked with Tyler Diamond. Obviously, the weird finagling put Tyler Diamond in a fight with Brett Johns instead. So walk me a little bit through that. What were the emotions when they're like, go fight Tyler Diamond? What were the emotions when they were like, just kidding, you're not in it?
Oh, well, Tyler Diamond's tough and scares me a little bit, but that's what I'm looking for. Zeal is the same thing. I want to fight dudes that make me nervous because win, lose, or draw, when I'm done with them, I'm not going to be scared of them, and I'm going to feel silly having ever been nervous about them. But as far as that particular time, I've kind of talked about it a few times. That was weird. I've had like amateurs fall out and things like that happen, but 6 days before I'm about to fly out and go fight this guy that I've been obsessing over, they tell me, all right, like you're not going to be fighting. Actually, you're just going to weigh in and get to watch the event, and which was a nice like thing that they did for me, but weird, fucking weird. Forgive my French, but that was the most weird thing ever to like train, prepare, get the fight, get the name, everything lined up, and then still have to go through the process of cutting the weight and stuff, and not actually have that like release at the end of the actual fight, that relieved all the tension. So I mean, I think that made it better for me when I did have to wait for August, because then I was just like, ready to go.
Absolutely. And again, the weirdness of it all, I think is such a good point because not only do you weigh in, not only is your body ready, not only is all that, but then you watch your opponent fight, right? Like you got to watch him in the cage with, a guy who was in the UFC for a really long time and Brett Johns, another tough out. What was it like having to sit there? Because I feel like, like you said, it's a nice thing they did for you. Was it hard to watch that fight?
Oh yeah. I didn't I so I was okay with the whole process. It was kind of like I was like numb to what was going on because it was just such a weird experience that I didn't really know how to handle it. But yes, once I actually got to the event, the day of the fight or the day that my fight was supposed to happen, um, I hated that. I hated that. I was like kind of the odd man out. I'm still supposed to be there and kind of go through the like protocols as if I'm fighting because they're like, you never know, you never know, you never know. When in actuality,
You pretty
they
much
just
know.
wanted me to maintain professionalism, but I wasn't fighting. That's what it was. But yeah, I'm in the locker room and I don't really have a locker room or an area like everyone else does. I'm literally sitting in the corner with my coach. We're both looking at each other like, so this sucks, right? Yeah, this sucks. Like I feel like I got invited to a party out of pity, but no one actually wanted to talk to me. Like wasn't cool. And then to watch him fight, I said this before, no disrespect to him, but I just think that a lot of the mistakes, which we all make mistakes, but a lot of his mistakes in particular were things that would highlight things that I'm good at. Like he gave up his back. That's what I do. If you watch my fights, I take your back. And he got tired and started looking rough there. And I don't get tired. These are just staples of who I am and how I fight.
And I don't want to keep dwelling on the bad. We're going to talk about the good. We're going to talk about the good stuff coming up. I got to ask about the weight cut too. Weight cuts all suck. We know that. Weight cutting when you're not fighting, is it as much bad as we think it might be?
Yes, yes, yes. And then the weird part is I was like, the second they told me like you're not fighting, I'm like, all right, like how can I cut some corners and still do what I need to do? Because I mean, if I'm not fighting, then like who cares? I'm like, all right, like but realistically, it's my body weight and I'm pushing it to a limit that there was realistically no way that I could cut corners like
Mm.
and still make the weight. So I was just like, fuck, man, I just got to do it. Like, yes, that sucked.
And so I assume afterwards you indulged. You allowed yourself something big to eat, something. Yeah.
Yes.
What did we get something good? Tell me what we got for it.
Oh, my first meal is always going to be hot wings, 100% of the time. Uh, the weeks right before I fight, when I'm really hungry, some people don't want to look at food. I do. I can't have it, but I will like look at food videos and figure out what I'm going to eat when this is over. And I'll even tease myself and go so far as to go on to like Hooters or Buffalo Wild Wings or Wingstop and create a whole like order of what I want. And then I just don't press send. But I love the torture. I don't know. It's just, that's my thing.
That's wild. Now I gotta ask, you're getting ready for a weight cut in Saudi Arabia, which is, a whole different animal. Have you Googled wing places in Saudi Arabia? Like, are you gonna be able to get your hot wings there?
Oh, I don't think I'm gonna have any fun. There's no alcohol there, so I can't have a beer afterwards. I'm gonna go in there, get this done, look at it as Christmas money, and come back home. And yes, then some beer and some wings for sure.
All right. And so in the whole process of fighting in Saudi Arabia, right? Because you fought largely in like the Pennsylvania area. I know you got fights in Kentucky. Your first PFL fight was, across the United States at the very least. This fighting across the world piece, this first, sort of step to being an international fighter like you are now, what has it been like for you in preparing for it? Is it a welcome challenge? Is it kind of a headache that you didn't, ever really plan on having?
I've never been out of the country, period, not for leisure or vacation, for anything. Like I just barely got a passport. This is all new to me. I'm nervous. There's always a little nerves involved with a fight, but I'm much more nervous of the airport than Azil by a long shot. I'm more nervous about traveling and the culture shock and everything like that. Even just traveling across the country when I was within the country, if you see me at the airport, I look like a puppy dog following my coach around because he's traveled before and he knows what to do. But me, I'm still figuring all of this out. I know how to fight, but everything else that's entailed, I'm still learning.
Very interesting. Now let's talk about the thing you know how to do then. That's fight. And you get this very interesting opponent, an SGB fighter, a guy who's, sort of been around the European scene in Adjoudj. What were sort of your first thoughts when they give you that name, you get a chance to research him and see a little bit of his fight style?
Um, what I've been noticing is a lot of the guys that I've been offered are basically replicas, more finely tuned, higher caliber versions of guys that I've already fought. I mean, I don't want to go super into detail on why I say that, but he kind of resembles a Frank Wells, which was the guy I won the title off of in Cage Fury. He does a lot of the same things. I'd just say he does a lot of them better. He's got good takedown defense. He's no slouch there. I mean, he's talented. He's really good. But like I said earlier in our conversation, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the guys that do kind of make me nervous because that's what's going to get me out of bed in the morning. That's what's going to make me, instead of doing 8 or 9 push-ups when I was supposed to do a set of 10, I'm doing 10, 11, and really pushing myself. Just fear, anxiety, some level of self-doubt, those things all play a role in my head and they make me better.
I love it. Well, that leads me perfectly to my last question because you sort of hinted at it with the Frank Wells comparison. I always like to end these things with a prediction. So tell me, how does one go down on November 29th?
Second round submission, and that's me being liberal with the time. If he hits the ground with me in the first round and we're dry, he's fucked. He's fucked. I don't care if I curse on that when I had to. That's the situation. That's what's going on.
Well, we don't care either, and we're excited to see it. Once again, fans, this has been Jose Perez, who fights Adjoudj at PFL 10 Championships. That fight, once again, November 29th. Jose, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. I appreciate the platform.